everybody, it's Dr. Bree
And Lynn.
and we are your favorite senior care specialists. So we're out strolling, we're a little squinty, walking into the sun. You know, the holidays are coming up and I kind of wanted to touch base on some of these things that, you know, that typically send individuals into the hospital, sadly. Yeah, and kind of some of the things too that we want you to avoid that could cause like a trip and fall while you're visiting over the holidays, and just to kind of be aware of. So, you know, most of the time over the holidays, what's happening? Obviously, we're having weather changes. So ice, snow, all that stuff.
Darkness.
Yeah, darkness at like 4:30.
Lots of darkness.
Yeah. I just saw some meme that was like, somewhere around midnight, I suddenly realized it's actually only 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it's so true. But yeah, like making sure that you actually have like salt down, that you have some way to be able to clean up snow, things like that. So if you yourself physically can't do it, get that lawn service set up now.
Yeah.
So you can be prepared. A fall with fracture over 65, guys, it can be deadly or cause permanent mobility loss. Yeah. So yeah, not anything that you want to mess around with.
This is the time of year when they start kind of rolling in the ER because
yes.
the weather is kind of crummy, wet leaves, slip and fall.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The other thing too that you see a lot during the holiday season is med mix-ups, or people not taking their meds at all, or they're doing like too many meds. Because what's happening? There's a schedule change, right. Time change. We're going and visiting someone. Oh, we've got new meals, or maybe we're staying at someone's house and we forgot to take the medications.
Yeah.
And that could be another trip to the ER. So, or something worse. You know, a lot of times I've seen people accidentally double up on blood pressure pills and end up passing out. Out.
Maybe somebody else is helping you set up your med box instead of your normal. Maybe you're just out of your routine. Just being out of your routine can mess up your meds.
Another big thing, especially with all the holiday parties, holiday treats, the traditional foods that we're eating around the holidays. What does that tend to look like? Very carb heavy, very salt heavy. So you're somebody who has congestive heart failure, somebody that has blood pressure issues. Are you diabetic? Type 1 diabetic, type 2 diabetic. These things are going to greatly impact how you feel, how your body responds, potential of raising blood pressure, lowering blood pressure. You can pack on a bunch of weight that's water weight, and then it can put you into fluid overload. Somebody who's diabetic can end up with really high blood sugars, and honestly just a host of other things. So really try and take that into account when you're going out to parties, when you're going out and doing stuff. You need to think about, what's my carb total looking like? What's my sugar total looking like? I need to be prioritizing my protein. I need to watch these things.
Right, having like half of a dessert instead of a whole dessert. One dessert instead of a plate full of desserts. I think about our holidays, how I think everyone brings a side dish and a dessert. So next thing you know, you've got 10 desserts to choose from, not one or two. And everybody wants to try everything. So it gets really tough to just pick and choose one or two smaller menu items, dessert items. But something that you could look at is your higher protein snacks or appetizers, right? Like your little smokies. Everybody likes little smokies and barbecue sauce.
Yep. Meatballs.
Meatballs, yeah. Deviled eggs.
Oh, deviled eggs are great.
So those are the higher protein, like count foods that would be maybe a better choice over veggies and dip, right? Veggies are great, but the dip is not necessarily.
Yep. It's even the same thing with the fruit plate.
Yeah.
Guys, like the dip that's there, super high sugar count. The other problem too is that most of our fruit sadly has been bred to be super, super sweet. Right. And it also has a huge sugar content with it as well. And if you can do like a higher protein meal, higher protein appetizer, and then you eat a carb, and then you eat some sugar, the way your body processes it is a lot different too. It will slow that absorption versus just the sudden hit of all this sugar and all of these carbs.
Yeah.
So yeah, think about those things. It can definitely make a huge difference when it comes to this stuff.
I think even choosing the right drinks, like make
Oh
sure you're drinking
yes,
plenty of water.
sweetened iced tea.
Yeah. Don't choose your sodas and your pops.
Alcohol.
And have 1 glass of wine instead of 2. Choose water instead of pop or lemonade. They're all really high in sugar. You don't need that much. The juice boxes, they're not terrible, but they're not great.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and
they're not good. They're not 100% juice. They're not really going to give you what you need.
No. It's, and the other thing you can think about too is, even swapping out. I get it. It's not the same, but like, get a carbonated water. Put a couple little limes in there or something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? A couple slices of lemon instead of your pop. And the other thing too is when it comes to hydration, guys, just remember, just drinking a ton of like filtered water is actually not going to fully hydrate you. You need some electrolytes in there. So taking a little pinch of some like Himalayan salt or some of the salts that have some like magnesium and some of those other nutrients in it, it actually allows the water to go into the cell and utilize it versus just filtering it out and you're peeing constantly too.
I hear a lot of people just say, well, I don't drink water. I've never drank water. I don't like water. And I think we all understand that. Water really, it's just water. A lot of times we'll just add a little fruit to it, right? Put a pitcher out, throw in some fresh strawberries, some fresh cut oranges, lemons, limes.
Put a little mint in there.
Yeah,
cucumber.
It flavors the water and it gives it something, so it's not just blah. I've even had people get like 100% cranberry juice and just put a very small splash in their glass to just give it a little flavor. Give it something so it's not just water. So similar to the sparkling waters where it's just going to give you something for your palate, because a lot of times people don't like just plain water. So dress it up a little bit. Throw some fresh crushed cranberries in there or something like that, just to add something to your diet.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Just remember, like, if you're swapping out pop, you're putting a little cranberry in there in water, we're doing way better than that pop.
Right.
Or that glass of wine, we're doing way better than that. So, and then, like the fourth thing is that stress. That's a big one. We see a lot of heart attacks around the holiday. You see a lot of people, sadly, also dealing with depression and things like that.
Anxiety.
Majorly, because
sitting around a house full of relatives.
Yeah, or if they're by themselves too. Sometimes
right.
it's not easy to deal with. So if you are somebody that gets very anxious or overwhelmed, like, know that about yourself. There's different breathing exercises that you can do. I mean, there are so many means of being able to like keep yourself calm down. The last thing you need to do is let the holidays give you a heart attack.
Right. And I think, if you're home alone by yourself, the holidays tend to bring up lots of memories, childhood, younger days, spending maybe with a spouse or siblings, moms and dads, great times like that. And it can be very depressing, but it can also bring, periods of joy if you can share it with someone. So reach out to your neighbor, right? And say,
Friendsgiving.
Say, hey, do you want to hang out for a little bit? And let's talk about what you used to do during the holidays, and I'll talk about what I used to do during the holidays, because sharing some of those memories with someone else helps combat depression. Right? And if you don't have family left, or maybe you don't get along with your kids or your siblings or whatnot, maybe they don't even live near you anymore, and your neighbors can be a great asset and a great resource for you. And you never know, you could be reaching out to someone who's also having the same feelings you are, and you could actually be helping them out. And it doesn't have to be, someone your same age. You may not live in a senior living community. You might just live in a neighborhood, and your neighbors might be 20 somethings with a couple of new babies. they might be stressing out too because they might not be near their family, and they actually might enjoy sitting down and talking to someone just like you.
Yeah, or even get a little help,
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, and the other thing too, guys, is remember, there's always help out there. There's most insurances cover, psychology visits, anything like that. Reach out and know what's available, because there's definitely support out there for sure. And then as far as if you are somebody that's traveling to friends, family, whatever, and let's say you have some mobility limitations, typically some of the biggest things that we see that can cause a fall or just be a general issue is typically the entrance to the home. So be prepared. Know what you're going into when you get there. Do you have steps that you're going to have to go up and down? If you do, is there a rail? Can you use a walker? Are you using a cane? Know this in advance.
Yeah, is someone going to be there to help you get up the steps?
Mm-hmm.
Are the kids going to have all their shoes at the front door? When they come in, they kick them off.
Yep.
Are you going to have to step over them? You're going to trip over them.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to go in via wheelchair? Or if you are going in via walker, is it the doorway even wide enough to fit that device into the home? Especially if you're in an older home. The older homes do not have wide doorways.
Right.
Yeah. And like she was talking about, shoes, there's a lot of junk that tends to be right at the doorway when you walk into a house. We kick off our stuff, we drop it on the floor.
Drop your coat, you drop your shoes.
Yep.
You take off and hang out with your buddy.
Yeah, so making sure that that's not there. The other thing too is if they have rugs, like little floppy rugs, and you're using a walker or a cane, really watch out for those. It's super easy to get twisted up in those and end up with a fall. The bathroom situation, that can be really challenging for a lot of people, especially if they have like a standard toilet. And I think the standard toilets are anywhere between like 13 or 14 inches high.
Yeah, they're short.
And most of the handicap height toilets are like 17, 18, 19, 20 inches. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
And are there any grab bars in there? Probably not if you're going to someone's house that doesn't have any mobility limitations. And again, is the doorway wide enough for you to be able to get in there with your walker or whatever you're using? All super important. Other thing too is if you struggle to stand, like you get in a chair, do you have a hard time getting up? If that's the case, make sure you're very selective with the seat that you're sitting in.
Right.
You want something that's firm, preferably something that's more elevated. If you can get something that has arms, that's great. If that's not available, a lot of times I'll even have clients, if they use a rollator, and a rollator is that walker that's got the brakes and a seat, you can take that in, park it up against something sturdy like a wall or whatever, and they sit on the walker.
Yeah.
And they use that as their support surface.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for them to get up and down off of it.
I think not sitting on one spot all day long.
Oh, yeah.
So don't come in the house and think that you're just going to drop grandma off in the recliner and she's not going to get up until you're ready to take her home. Grandma's got to get up and move. So make sure you're not just sitting in one spot all day long.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Get up and move. Sit at the table. Sit in the recliner. Sit on the couch. Find some different surfaces. Find some different rooms. Sit on the floor if you're able to get back up. But don't just go and sit and then do nothing for the whole day, because your body's not going to like that.
Oh, definitely not. Well, plus if we're eating a bunch of sodium and carbs, you're going to be puffing up. And that's something else too to think about. If you're sitting and your feet are down all day long, especially for somebody that's older that might have a circulation issue, can end up with some nasty cankles or some really, really just swollen legs. And the other thing you need to think about with that is if you do have that edema, that's what that swelling is, and your skin gets that puffy, it can actually cause you to be more prone to getting an infection, something called cellulitis. Just think of a balloon that gets like blown up to a point where it pops. Same thing with our skin, that protective layer just isn't there. So just watch out for that stuff. So like even wear your compression stockings if you have them.
Right, yeah, that's
combat
great.
that, and try and keep your feet up.
Yeah, those are great tips.
Yeah. So hopefully, guys, these tips are going to keep you safe and happy this holiday season. and out of the hospital. Thanks for chatting with us. Bye.